Kaitlyn, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to go through your story because it's a badass one. And I think it's really going to resonate with a lot of our clients, especially some who have been doing years and years and years of work on this stuff. So, welcome. I'm so happy to see you.
Thanks. I'm so happy. So happy to be here. So happy to chat with you too.
I love
Oh my goodness, where to start? It
yeah,
has been such a
that.
good ride.
I love that. I love when it's just a good ride, but you're also like, whoa, like there's a lot, right? And I think that usually in these conversations, it's kind of the vibe where it's like, oh my God, regulation taps into so many things, and the nervous system is literally everything. So we'll cover what we can, and don't worry. Like, there can always be follow-ups. We can meet again and share more. Um, so why don't you kick us off by just telling a little bit more about yourself and just like who you are. And then we can dive into like the nitty gritty.
Yeah, so my entire life I've been like a very high achieving woman, very busy, feeling like I've been checking off all the boxes and kind of getting all the help I need and thought that I had all the tools I need, but there was always just something that felt a little bit off and I could never put my finger on it. And
Mhm.
as the years went by, it just started to kind of consume me. And I tried all the, Instagram things and the supplements and the therapy. And for some reason, there was just something that I knew wasn't right. And when I started to hear about the nervous system and all of the kind of symptoms that could come with it, it was like piece by piece, I kind of put something together that this is the only thing I really haven't tried at that point. I spent lots of money trying a lot of other things, and they really only just hit the surface.
Yeah.
So I really just took that time to stop and try something new, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. Truly, it's changed my life.
That makes me so happy because it is so the experience of the women I work with, like yourself, but also of myself. We're intelligent. We're used to using our minds to succeed. So we're so confused and complex of like, these things are coming up. I have tried fucking everything. Like, I am still not feeling like I'm moving through this world in a way that's like joyful and connected and safe. And for anyone watching this who doesn't even know what those concepts fully mean, just feeling like you can be present and like not everything is so overwhelming and inundating. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you took that chance. You took that risk. You were like, this sounds a little weird. And like, I'm not entirely sure, but you put the pieces together. It seemed worth it. And I know that when we're in survival mode, everything feels like a risk and feels scary. But what a gorgeous thing that on the other side of that risk taking is really seeing that it all comes down to the nervous system, to the body, and to, speaking the full language beyond just like our mind, no matter how smart we are, right?
Yeah.
So, talk to me a little bit about what you were experiencing. So, you mentioned, it lined up with some symptoms and things like that as you started to explore this work.
Sure. So it was just a bunch of little symptoms. It's like the fatigue started to set in, and I would have like headaches, and I just felt very unwell generally, but I was doing everything by the book, everything right, taking the supplements, exercising, and trying to go through the day to day. And it seemed the more I was focusing on those things, that with time wasn't getting better. So I just knew there had to be something else. Um, it just came to the point personally where I was very convinced that there was something wrong with me that may have been missed. And
Mm,
as I continued in the program, after a few months, I noticed, hey, I can get up today and I can actually perform my daily tasks and not be exhausted by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just like I got that shift in energy and everything. I feel like everything just kind of started working the way it should, if that makes sense.
mhm.
Um, so it was just so many little symptoms that I felt like were being, missed or pushed aside, and then they kind of just resolve themselves in a sense.
That's so gorgeous. And I really like that you say all these little symptoms because it feels like there's so many little things going on that we're almost not connecting them all, right? And
Yeah.
because the nervous system is our core central programming, we know it touches all of these things, little gut symptoms, the headaches and migraines, the, energy and fatigue levels, the stress levels, all of that. But when we're not thinking in that vein, it just feels like all these little things. And so I think as badass, ambitious women, we just go, all right, I'm just going to trek it through. And what I really love about your story is that you said that's not good enough for me, right? Like, even if it wasn't some massive, horrific, condition that was popping up, though I would argue in some ways it's more maddening having a bunch of little things like add up, right?
Yeah.
But you still were like, yeah, I don't want to live my life like this.
Yeah.
I know I'm destined for more. I know that, I want to have that greater impact in the world, and that's not coming if I'm constantly feeling less than in my body and as a result in my mind. Because I know when I feel less than in my body, like sick or have physical symptoms, right? My mind
Mhm.
is just not, it's not as clear and as uplifting as I'm used to, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, talk to me a little bit about what appealed to you about doing nervous system work through our program and with me as a coach.
Sure. So I think the most appealing thing was really having your team take the time to not only explain the program, but truly I felt like they were holding my hand and they were there for me in a way that, I feel like you just don't even feel in therapy. Your team wanted to hear my story and do anything in your guys' power to truly help me succeed, no matter what it took. And this program just gives you so many tools and one-on-one time and support with a group or individuals that I think that just like really speaks to everything because anybody can truly just put a program out there and say, follow this curriculum and let us know how it goes. But you help not only keep us accountable, but like you're there to also share your story and it feels very personal. I don't feel like there's anything that really is like transactional about this program. And I just think that's like really beautiful and unique.
I love that. Well, thank you. I mean, I can't wait to show my team this too because they love hearing stuff like that. But I do think for myself, like if I think about how I get support these days for myself outside of health and regulation, but just like support, I lean towards coaching, right? Instead of therapy.
Yeah.
And I know that everyone does it differently. Okay. So this is not like all therapists, all coaches. But I think what's really beautiful about a container and a coaching container is there is that piece of you're working with somebody because they've fucking been in exactly what you've experienced, and they're also still sharing that experience, even if it looks different today or what they're going through or what they're working with, right? And I love that you spoke to the kind of the combination. I remember you having some good experience in this between having the one-on-one, so you had your space, but then also the group and the community, because I know you made some really good connections and had that support of other women going through it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone's so damn unique, right? Like we really do need that tailored support. I love that. Awesome. And now my favorite part. Talk to me about what has changed for you since doing the work. We were catching up a little bit on this before, but I'd love for you to share.
Yeah, so just a little insight to how I was at the beginning of this program. I was completely burnt out. It was to the point where, my nervous system was haywire, anxiety, like even a bit of agoraphobia. Like I would be anxious even just driving in the car, leaving the house. So burnt out to like just not be able to just do the normal day to day to the point where I felt like I didn't really have any tools to help myself because I physically didn't have the capacity to do these things. And as the program moved on and just like the rumination and just the
Mhm.
constant depression, anxiety kind of spiral there, as time went on, there, of course, with regulation, there were a few bumps in the road, and then coming back a few times and then just realizing, hey, I actually have more time between these little road bumps. And now it's like you come out of the program. And for me personally, I'm able to know that there will be other little bumps that come along, but I am confident that I can handle these things and that they'll pass. So now for me, I'm excited about adventure again. I can drive totally fine. Like the anxiety, it's like I barely even go to therapy, but like it's great. Like I feel like I am so capable of handling and taking charge of my life. And I've been doing so many great things because of it. I became a yoga teacher. I do a lot of events. I'm thriving in my career and just trying so many new things and seeing even just like every week, it's like I'll try to do something that's like a little bit scary. And then I go out and I'm like, I remember when I couldn't, drive this exit on the highway. And wow, that's really cool because as somebody that's gone through a lot of trauma and grief and, just a lot of major life changes, sometimes you get stuck in that hole thinking that things could never be back the way that they were. But the great thing about it is that they can turn out better than that. And you become a version of yourself and push yourself to become, this like higher level that it just makes it all worth it.
I want to cry. You're just your most aligned self. I
Yeah.
love that, we come into this work and we're like, I want to go back to normal. And it's like, no, you want to be better because that
Yeah.
normal or whoever you were before, right, is also the person who held the beliefs and ways of moving through the world that led to the dysregulation in a chronic sense, right? And it's not your fault. It's the way that we're all like collecting data and often we're either parented or had experiences when we were younger and into adulthood. But what's gorgeous is like what I'm hearing from you, which I really think is the goal of regulation, is that no matter what happens, you've got yourself. You know that
Yeah.
you're the type of person, it's your identity now that like things will come up because life is will come up, right? But you've got it. And not only do you have it, but you're gonna muster and suffer through, like you're gonna own that shit. I think, capitalism, patriarchy for women, right, often teaches us that the goal is pure happiness all the time. And in a way, it
Mm.
does. It becomes a joyful experience, but it's almost like you're experiencing joy in all different emotions because you're like, I'm feeling them. They're cueing me into what's aligned and what's misaligned. And I really know that all of this is the whole point of life is to experience depth and range of emotion and not feel scared of what's coming up for me, but instead be like, cool, I can listen to this and I can adapt and I can grow from it. And that's so badass. I appreciate you too bringing. I remember the driving thing, and I love just that you're even in your car right now. You know what I mean? Like no panic, because that's a huge one for women, right? And it can feel
Yeah.
so challenging because it can just feel like you're kind of trapping yourself, right? Um, Amazing. Oh my God, I could say so many things. This is amazing, and I'm just so proud of you because you really put in that work. You were committed. You were sure that even when things were difficult to integrate or it got exhausting or whatever, you came right on back and you were like, all right, let's shift it, let's adapt it. Let me consider it this way. Let me like look at this, right? We had some great voice
Yeah.
notes between the two of us, like reframing. Um, and I just know you're one of those women who's destined to bring this work to other people as well. It's so badass. I'm so happy for you. You did that.
Thank
I'm telling
you.
you. Anything else that you want to share or speak to?
Um, hmm. The only thing I guess I would like to share because um so many different people have said this to me over and over again. And it's like that thing, like when people tell you these things so many times, you start to
Yeah.
believe it. And it's something I truly believe in. And it's like, as I kind of just like gave a high level, it's like you can come from these places of like extreme depression, anxiety, dysregulation, grief, health anxiety, all these places. And it might feel like, you just have this whole pile of baggage that is like so like you can't figure out to like maintain and like untangle it. Like this is the place to do that. And I truly believe like no matter like where you're starting from, or if you think that you have like too much and you can't do anything about it, like I literally just want to like promise people like there is absolutely a way for you to come to this new version of yourself. And like you don't have to live like that. And there is a piece of you inside that will continue to build, and you'll be able to like build that capacity and like that self-love for yourself so you can get where you want to be, because life is just, it's really short and it's possible, you know?
I'm I'm just this is an emotional one for me, but I'm so glad you said that because it does, I think for a lot of people feel like they're too beyond, right? And
Yeah.
this was the whole theme of my TED talk was like, no one's broken. You're not broken. No one is broken. We're all working with this system. There's actually a process that we can use, and it might look a little different for each person because you're all unique, but like
Yeah.
we all have the same programming, right? And I love that you said no one's too far gone because you can come back. And I know like you held some fears in the beginning that you're like, I'm too far gone. This shit isn't going to work. Like, no way. And
Yeah.
so glad that you stuck through it, even with skepticism, because we know skepticism. We're fine with skepticism because why wouldn't you be skeptical? But what a gift you gave to yourself to see that on the other side. And what a gift you just gave to everyone watching this to be like, no, you can do it too, right? Life is worth
Yeah.
living.